Hey guys, Dave with First Place Auto Parts. You know, whether you're going to be upgrading your car or truck to a full disc brake conversion kit, or you're going to buy a new set of wheels to make that thing look cool, one of the things that you're going to need to know is what the bolt pattern is, whether it's for the wheels or for the rotor. And in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to measure properly to make sure that you understand what bolt pattern your car needs. Look, don't take it for granted that what you think it is what it came with, because a lot of times, especially with these classic cars, people have mixed and matched stuff, much like my 56 Chevy, where the bolt pattern might be different than what the car originally came with, or even the front to the rear. And when you're buying a set of wheels or a set of rotors for your car, look, you want to make sure you get the right ones. So in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to properly measure, especially with the 5-lug wheel, how to measure the proper bolt pattern so you get the right parts you need. So stay tuned, and today we're talking about wheel bolt patterns. Hey guys, if you like today's video, please consider subscribing to the First Place Auto Parts YouTube channel. We're going to continually be adding new videos every week where we show you how to put new parts on, we take a look at the latest parts that are available, and we go to some pretty cool car guy stuff I'm pretty sure you're going to want to see. Now when we talk about wheel bolt patterns, what we're talking about is the spacing of the studs. This wheel has 5 wheel studs on it, and 5 wheel studs was very common for vehicles made all the way from the 40s all the way up until the mid 80s. It wasn't until we really started getting into the heavy duty trucks, pickup trucks, where we started seeing 6 and 8 lug wheels. In today's video, we're going to talk about the 5 lug wheels because it applies to the vast majority of the vehicles out there. And also, having the 5 lugs, not having a even space or an even number of lugs, makes the measurement process a little different. So we're going to talk about 5 lug wheels today. Now, in my case, I have a 56 Chevy that I went ahead and bought a set of wheels for and a set of rotors. I went ahead and bought those with the assumption, because I was converting it from 4-wheel drums to a front disc brake conversion kit. What I didn't realize was that it had aftermarket axles in it that had been drilled for a Ford bolt pattern, and the rear wheels were actually a Ford bolt pattern, the front were a GM. When I got the rotors that I had ordered, what I realized is they wouldn't fit my existing front wheels because the bolt pattern was different. So one of the things that you just don't want to assume, especially with an early American muscle car or truck, is that what it came with or what it was made with is what it has now. People back in the day, they would mix and match stuff to find out whatever worked best. If you have a Ford 9-inch in your GM vehicle, you might want to double check those rear bolt patterns to make sure it's not 5-on-5, which was really common for Ford. Now, speaking of bolt patterns, you might be under the assumption that all the manufacturers would use the same one, and if you assume that, you couldn't be further wrong or more further from the truth. The reality is they all use different bolt patterns. They all use different bolt patterns depending on the size of the vehicle, but also the year of the vehicle. For Ford, it was common to use either a 5-on-5 or a 5-and-5.5 bolt pattern, where GM really seemed to favor the 5-and-4.75 bolt pattern. So that's why we're going to go ahead and measure these things today so that you have an understanding of how to do that. There's a couple of ways to do it. Really, the first way and the easy way is to go ahead and get yourself a bolt pattern diagram like this. Look, these things are available and they're made fairly cheaply. They can be either in paper or plastic. I've had this one from Moser Engineering for a long time when I bought a set of axles, and I've taped it together. I've torn it over the years. But one of the things that it shows you on this is the various bolt patterns are very common for the American vehicle. One of the things that it's helpful with is you can actually just slide this thing over a rotor and align it with the studs, and it'll tell you exactly what you have. This is the easy way to do it. The reality, though, is that you're probably going to only do this maybe once in your life if you're buying a set of wheels for your car and you plan on keeping it for a while. So we're going to show you how to do this with a simple tape measure, and it's pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and get started. To measure your bolt pattern on your rotor or even your wheel for that matter, is what you want to do is you want to take your tape measure, and look, it helps to have a tape measure. If you haven't had a shop class or something along those lines and know how to read a tape measure, it's helpful to have a tape measure that has all the increments actually named out, such as eighths and quarters and things of that nature. So what you want to do is you want to take your tape measure, and on a standard lug wheel, what you do is you measure across the actual rotor itself, opposing studs But on an even wheel, you measure from the center of a stud to a center of a stud. Because the 5-lug wheel has an odd number of lugs or studs, what we're going to do is we're going to measure from the outside of the first stud to the center of the opposing stud. So we're not going center to center, and we're not going outside stud to outside stud. What we're doing is we're going outside to center of the opposing wheel studs, and that'll give your measurements. What we have in this case is a 5 4 3/4, which tells me it's more than likely a GM bolt pattern. So this is a 5 4 3/4 rotor, or I should say a bolt pattern on this rotor, and it's going to match up to this actual wheel. Now this wheel is kind of interesting in that it's one of those universal fits. It has oblong holes. It's still important to know your bolt pattern because what's going to come into play are the type of washers that I buy for this wheel, but it's good to know that I have a 5 4 3/4 rotor that's going to fit into this wheel. So I can go ahead and order with confidence when I either order my 4-wheel disc brake conversion kit. I want to make sure I get the right application. If you're considering upgrading your brakes or even doing maintenance and replacing your rotors or perhaps upgrading your wheels to another set, make sure you know what bolt pattern you're working with so you get the parts right the first time. Guys, at First Place Auto Parts, we have got a ton of options when it comes to disc brake conversion kits, everything you could possibly need. It's the First Place Auto Parts website at fpautoparts.com. There you just plug in your vehicle, the make, your make model, and it'll show you a ton of different options. Whether you're restoring your car, making it go faster, or just making it stop harder, First Place Auto Parts, we have exactly what you need. Guys, I appreciate you watching this video, and hopefully this has shed a little bit of light. It's not quite rocket science, but you've got to know what you're doing to make sure you get the right parts for your car. And in this case, measure twice, buy once, and get exactly what you need. Guys, until next time, keep the hammer down, keep it between the guardrails.